Now, what's up, everybody? You are tuned into season 2 of the 2024 SD nominated show, The Elks Call, presented by Shotgun Sports. My name is Scout, aka the rep from Section X,
And I'm Catherine, aka Devon Elks.
and we have a stacked show up ahead for everybody. But first, the Edmonton Elks sweep the Calgary Stampeders for the first time since 2002. Kathy, how you feeling about that? How you doing?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. ABC. That's all that matters.
It's always good to get a sweep against Calgary. We might not have won much on the season, but at least we got a sweep against Calgary. So I think that is the important part. Now, for today's show, you, the viewer, the listener, are our guest for tonight's episode. The best guest. The best guest. Uh, now, we're going to have one of our bigger guests of the season on our next episode, which will be after the regular season wraps up. So, yeah, I mean, we have a guest in mind. We're not going to announce it quite yet, but yeah, next episode we're going to have an awesome guest. So that will be cool. Now we're going to get this show started in just a moment, but first we have to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. Whether you're watching on our YouTube, which is Shotgun Sports Network, on Facebook, which would be the Elks Herd, or if you're listening on TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Edmonton Sports Talk, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. While we're here, if you could hit the like and subscribe or favorite button, we would greatly appreciate it. Tonight on the Elks Call, we're going to open up with some Shotgun Sports announcements. Then we'll dig into Kathy's Herd Report, talking about the latest Edmonton Elks game news and transactions. Following that, we're going to give you an Edmonton sports update, and then we'll cap the show with the fan forum, where we discuss hot topics surrounding the Elks, the CFL, and the sports world as a whole. So be sure to blow up the herd chat so you can get your comments and questions onto the show. For today's announcements, we're going to be brought to you by Puck and Pigskin. Jason Basic covers all things Stamps, CFL, Calgary Flames, and NHL. Go check him out every Tuesday live on Shotgun Sports. He did have a new episode. He's in the middle of reworking some of his studio. So he had some technical difficulties we talked about last time. This last episode, he has the best of his guests. So he's also celebrating the guests this week. So pretty cool. All right, announcements. First off, new article is not up on Shotgun Sports Network. List of reasons why, but unfortunately, we did not get that game article up. Expect the game article to be up for next game. Now, 2024 Edmonton Elks Tailgate Chili Cookoff. That was a hit. Once again, if you didn't watch last week's episode, the Chili Cookoff stats are as follows. We had 13 contestants, 353 votes versus 235, which was a 50% increase. We had 5 sponsors versus 4. EST was huge. 2 prizes, 1 for the fan vote, 1 for the judges vote. We had 5 judges this year. So that was cool. Once again, we already did talk about that on the last episode, but did want to remind everybody the winner of the fan vote was Mike Taylor of stall 177, and Corey Dewar, or the Dewars of stall 160, ended up winning the trophy. So very exciting. Once again, a big thanks to our sponsors. We did send out emails today to our partners so we could get the trophy presentation going. We will be doing the trophy presentation on October 25th in the Edmonton Elks tailgate. So that'll be cool. We're going to be doing that at around 6:30. The game's at 7:30. So come on over to stall 182 if you'd like to see the trophy handed out for the best chili of the 2024 Tailgate Chili Cookoff. Okay, another cool thing. Looks like we might be doing some trick-or-treat in the tailgate. So we're collaborating with our friend Superfan Mike of EE History and the Turf District podcast. Looks like we're going to be handing out some like goodie bags in the tailgate. So stay tuned to the Elks Herd for further details. We also want to congratulate friend of Shotgun Sports Network and creator co-op member Coach Phil of Coach Phil Reacts. for becoming an official CFL creator. So big congrats to Coach Phil for picking up a CFL contract by the looks of it. Really cool that he's in there. Of course, he's a friend. He's been on the show a couple times. So, he's been on our show, and then he's also been on Puck and Pigskin. So, Coach Phil is really awesome stuff. Really, really happy for him for getting that little CFL nod. So, we'll see what he does with the CFL over there. But now, I do think that there's some things to talk about what the CFL is doing there in their I believe it's like content. I believe it was creator community is the way they put it, something like that. But we will be talking about that in the fan forum because we have a nice little fan question. So that'll be cool. All right, let's talk some Elks, Kathy. Let's talk some Elks. We have Kathy's Herd Report, where Kathy brings you the latest Elks game recap, news, and transactions. The Herd Report is brought to you by the Forge Podcast. Experience the latest in Birmingham sports with Ryan Messer as he gives you the latest news and updates. Find the Forge every week on Shotgun Sports Network, covering all things G League, Minor League, SPHL, and more. Ryan Messer's doing it all. Forge on. Kathy.
Yes, let's talk about this game. I mean, it was up and down, so I didn't really know until the very last second how that was going to turn out. But yes, let's talk about this. The Edmonton Elks faced the Calgary Stampeders on October 12th, resulting in a season sweep with a final score of 23-18.
Huge.
It is the first time in 22 years that Edmonton has swept a 3-game series in the Battle of Alberta. It was a little close for my liking, but a win's a win.
We'll just a little bit close, but it was really nice to see the Double E come out on top, and especially in Calgary too.
Of course, I mean, as I said, ABC, right? That's all that matters.
Anybody but Calgary.
Yeah. The first quarter, I mean, this game had a dicey start. Really early in the quarter, Trey Ford was sacked in the end zone, resulting in a safety for the Stampeders. I don't think we've seen a safety this year just yet.
I don't know. If we have, there might have been one other.
Yeah. Not for the Elks, I don't think so.
No, we never get safetied.
Yeah, well, we sure did. Really early, too. This early misstep, it really put the Elks in a difficult position. And despite some very small gains, including a short passes to Javon Leake and Gina Lewis, a couple of first downs, they really were unable to establish that consistent rhythm. Right after that, on a promising drive, Ford was sacked again, losing 15 yards. And the Elks offense, they just continue to face pressure. I mean, it's a big one. That's a really big one. I was driving back home to watch the game when that was happening, and I was listening to it. And when they said 15 yards, like, what is he doing? Is he running backwards, like all the way back for him to lose that many yards? But so be it.
Frustrating.
They were definitely forced to punt twice, with their second punt following a procedure penalty that set them back even further. Overall, the first quarter was an offensive struggle for the Elks as they couldn't capitalize on their drives. At least they held them to 5 points, and they ended the quarter with a sack by Moncrief. So good for him.
Yeah.
Going into the second quarter, the Elks offense, they finally started to find their rhythm. They moved efficiently down the field with short, precise passes, starting with completions to Gina Lewis, Dylan Mitchell, and Tevin Jones, ultimately setting up a 15-yard rushing touchdown by Gino. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that you don't necessarily expect, but that's really good to see. And of course, Boris Beatty, he followed with a successful conversion. And on the ensuing kickoff, Edmonton earned a single point, further extending the lead.
Boris Beatty.
Yeah, the Elks maintained momentum on the next possession as Ford gained yards both through the air and on the ground. A penalty on both teams, however, moved the ball to midfield. But Ford's passing continued to shine. It was highlighted by a 20-yard completion to Curly Gittens Jr. and a 17-yard rush by Justin Rankin. The drive culminated in a 1-yard touchdown by backup quarterback Dakota Prukop.
Yeah.
Another comfort and a single point off the kickoff capped off the drive, putting the Elks in a strong position by the quarter set. Calgary really struggled to gain traction, and penalties even under and really further hurt their chances. That, and they had another sack by Elliott Brown at the end of the quarter. And I think by this point, Trey Ford was at 100% on his completions with 14 out of 14.
He did have a really great completion percentage, I believe, on the game. But yeah, he was 14 for 14. I think he maintained a 100% rating through the half.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, going into the third quarter, that's when he started throwing some
Yeah.
incompletes. But that's still pretty.
And an INTs, an INT or two
Mhm.
in there. Yeah.
Yep. Still, I mean, good first half for him.
Yeah.
Going into the third quarter, however, he did complete several short passes, including an 8-yard gain to Javon Leake and a 10-yard pass to Tevin Jones. But a holding penalty and a procedural penalty set them back, forcing a punt. Calgary's defense tightened, limiting Edmonton's ability to advance, though Edmonton's punter,
Jake Julian.
Edmonton's number one boy.
What up, Jake Julian?
He certainly delivered some strong punts to pin the Stampeders deep in their territory. The Elks responded back with a sack from Nick Anderson, which forced Calgary to punt the ball away.
Rookie of the year, Nick Anderson, has been a beast.
The Elks got a break when Calgary was penalized for contacting the kicker, giving Edmonton a fresh set of downs right after that. So, however, the offense continued to stall, and despite Ford completing a few short passes and Rankin making a 20-yard rush late in the quarter, the team struggled to really generate any sort of yardage there. Julian contributed to the score with a roosh on a 65-yard punt. But good on Moncrief for adding yet another sack before the end of the third quarter.
Yeah, Derek Moncrief, I don't know if he specifically ever did bad while he's been with Edmonton. Like, I remember when he had a stint with Edmonton a couple years ago, right? I don't remember exactly where he came from. I want to say Saskatchewan or something. But yeah, either way, he signed elsewhere last year. Nice to see Derek Moncrief
yeah, he
swing
did well.
back this way. Did we acquire him via trade this year or what?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Can't remember, but no, he's been good.
I want to say we traded for him this year. I'm gonna look that
up. Talking further, fourth quarter, very stressful fourth quarter. The Elks leaned heavily on their rushing game, with Justin Rankin breaking loose for a 27-yard run early on. However, after a short completion to Dylan Mitchell and an incomplete pass, the drive stalled, and a penalty on the subsequent punt further hindered the process. That seems to be the story. But another sack, however, Schultz was taken down by Daniel Joseph this time. The defense couldn't quite stop Calgary after that, and together with an offside penalty from Edmonton, they managed to score a touchdown on that same drive. They tried for a 2-pointer and missed, thankfully. That was on the Calgary side. And despite moving the ball into Calgary territory, the Elks struggled to convert. Ford had an interception at the Edmonton 29, halting another drive. Calgary immediately responded with another touchdown, and things started to get scary for Edmonton at this point, really. It was late in the quarter when Rankin broke off another big run. It was 38 yards, putting the Elks deep into Calgary territory. Ford continued to manage the offense with a short completion to Curly Gittens Jr., and Rankin followed with a 15-yard rush. Finally, Ford connected with Gino Lewis for a 10-yard touchdown, giving the Elks a crucial late score. However, they failed on the 2-point conversion, and Calgary responded with a moderate kickoff return. But the clock was winding down at this point on their chances to mount a comeback. Thankfully, however, with 1 minute and 5 seconds left in the game, the defense certainly did their job. They held Calgary back. Calgary had a chance.
Yeah, they
certainly
did, and then that pass interference.
Yeah.
So that Kai
It
Gray pass
followed.
interference,
Yeah. Right after
and
that, there was that horrible timing on a pass interference call.
just brutal. Elks fans, CFL fans, herd chat, blow it up. We do see John and St. John in the herd chat. What up, boys? We will get to that question more than likely in the fan form, or maybe at the end of the herd report here. But a question of the show. Let's try doing a question of the show. Was that Kai Gray penalty really a penalty? Or was it pretty darn soft? Because in my opinion, a pass interference, the player is actually being held back or actually being like physically touched. Oh, there's the cat. Podcast Luna. But no, that penalty was very, very cheesy in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, Kai Gray kind of cut him off, but it's not like he really impeded the receiver. And even then, I think that ball was a little bit overthrown as well. So I don't know.
So sometimes I really find it frustrating when it seems to be part of a momentum play. Like when it's just your momentum and it just happens to move a certain way and there's nothing that he could have done about it, than doing it intentionally. Right. I feel, and sometimes that line is very blurred when somebody's calling a penalty, right? Sometimes, even if it's a mistake, even if it's an accident, it's just momentum, they will still call it a penalty.
No.
So, and that's when it gets a little frustrating. And you could see it on Kai Gray's face too, that he was frustrated with that call, that he felt like it shouldn't have been. But
well, in relatively, the defense played lights out. Like this was a low penalty game for the Elks for once.
Well, they had a lot of penalties.
They had a lot of penalties,
Yeah,
but
they had quite a few penalties that pushed them back. I just talked about them. Yeah, they had a few that
compared
pushed
to
them
other
back.
games this season, though.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest.
And it wasn't as critical of penalties. Like,
no,
sure, you had a little bit of drive extension. Sure, you had a little bit of adversity, but it wasn't like in other games where you have the momentum. And that one there, I mean, I will say, okay, so that one there, I thought the game was over.
Yeah.
On that Kai Gray penalty, I thought the game was over. I was like, here we go.
Yeah.
Calgary won it. They're at the 1 yard line, and then they called it back at the 5. And you're like, oh my God, there's a hope. And then I believe, was it Tommy Stevens they had in there?
Yeah.
So Tommy Stevens loads up, can't get the ball to the guy.
No, it was stressful.
And it was in that moment. You're like, oh my goodness, the Edmonton Elks are really going to find a way to screw this up. And I feel bad for Kai Gray. I don't think that was really a penalty, in my opinion. Like it was very, very soft. Very rarely will I speak up against a penalty. Usually I'm like, yeah, idiot, what are you doing? That's usually what I say, because usually you're shooting yourself in the foot here. But in this case, Kai Gray simply cut the guy off. The ball was slightly overthrown, and Kai Gray ended up taking the hit for it. It was a stupid penalty. Once again, herd chat.
Well, a horrible time too. I mean, you feel I feel like as a player on the defense in the very last minute and 5 seconds left that you know that you have to defend that field, you try your damn hardest not to have any sort of penalty. Right? That's if there's something that you want to make sure that you're not doing is having a stupid penalty in the very last minute of the game, when it could also turn around and go the other way very easily.
Which Kai Gray has had a couple of those this season. Yeah. He has a lot of those. Quite a few of those stupid timed penalties, ill-timed penalties, but like the stupid ones where you're like, man, that just like cost the team, borderline cost the team the game. And as we say, it doesn't come down to one play. Yeah, you see St. John here in the herd chat. Personally, I don't think that's worth the flag, but there could have been some tugging and pushing earlier in the game, and a ref started paying more attention. Yeah. So goes in with the really depends on the refs comment. And maybe, right? Maybe they were playing it a little bit too close there.
Yeah.
Earlier on in the game, and the ref wasn't having any more of it.
Yeah.
Or maybe Kai Gray was talking trash. Whatever.
Yeah, you never know. You really don't know. It, like St. John says, it really depends on the refs sometimes as well, right? But thankfully, the clock ran down to the zeros, and it closed with a much needed Elks win. I mean, it doesn't. We won't say that it didn't matter because, of course, it still mattered. You still don't want to be last on the standings. At least we went up one rank.
Yeah.
So it was a needed win. It was something that also, being the Battle of Alberta, being a sweep,
Yep.
it's just something nice for the team themselves,
It's
right?
still a game worth something, especially to Edmonton Elks fans, especially to fans that haven't seen more than 4 wins in a season as well
Hmm.
for the last 4 seasons. I will say,
Yeah.
how nice to see the Double E with at least 6 wins.
Hmm.
It would have been nice to see, 8 or 9 this season. It would have also been nice to not start the season 0-7. Like, really, the team has been cooked ever since 0-7, but
Yeah.
at least they gave themselves a chance to get back in the conversation. And heck, they were in the Grey Cup conversation this year.
Hmm.
The Edmonton Elks, I know we got to get back to this game, but hey, I'll take the win. I'll take the sweep. It gives you something to build on for next year.
Yeah.
This team has some character now. This team has a 50-50 chance of getting a home win. At the kids flag football league, the Double E flag football league there. Great program, by the way. Shout out to the Edmonton Elks for putting that on. But I talked to to a fan outside, and I'm like, hey, well, at least we have a 50-50 shot at winning at home now.
Hmm.
Couldn't say that last year, and you
No.
definitely couldn't say it the year
No.
before, and you definitely couldn't say it the year before. It's like
Yeah.
this team,
Improvements.
it's one step at a time, like you said last week on the show.
Yeah. Improvement. That's all that matters. There were some really good points here in this game. I mean, the defense, they did their thing.
Lights
5
out.
sacks, 2 interceptions. They only allowed 215 yards through the air. Nick Anderson and Niles Morgan both hit their 100 tackle mark on the season. That's pretty
Huge,
cool.
huge,
Yeah,
huge.
massive.
And Nick Anderson is a rookie.
Yeah, no, he's set. He had a really good season, so and
Yep.
it shows. Trey Ford, I mean, he was hit or miss, especially on the second half, but he still had 23 out of 29 completions,
Nice.
208 yards, 1 touchdown. Justin Rankin, of course, he had 140 rushing yards and 10 carries. Geno Lewis, of course, with rushing touchdowns, showing that versatility.
Yeah.
He set a franchise record with his 7th straight game with a touchdown. He's had 10 touchdowns on the season. He's the first Double E player since Duke Williams in 2018 to hit double digits in touchdowns.
Yeah.
And he is also 18 yards away from 1,000 for the season.
And who is our last 1,000-yard wide receiver would have been Brandon Zylstra off the top of my head. I want to say is either Duke Williams or Brandon Zylstra. So Duke Williams, I mean, watched him play. With a lot of us here as CFL fans have seen Duke Williams play. The guy definitely at least had some talent.
Mm-hmm.
Now he has anger issues, unfortunately. But but Geno Lewis.
Yeah.
What about Geno Lewis? How about Edmonton Elks? How about we talking with Double E? New franchise records. We're not talking about a losing streak anymore.
We've had a few.
Yeah.
We've had a few of those franchise records. It's been great. Now, I know we're not talking about it, but maybe we'll talk about it in our last episode because now I'm afraid of what's going to happen to Geno Lewis.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen with Geno. Sorry, I'm just looking up this defensive stat or the penalty stat. But what happens with Geno Lewis this offseason? That's going to be a fan forum question.
Yeah, it's scary.
Maybe for next
episode. Can we afford to keep him? Should we keep him, seeing that we have a very, really good core of wide receivers?
Depth.
It's right, and that's going to be a question that we'll definitely ask because I mean he's certainly having himself a season. He's putting some franchise records, and he shows versatility. He clearly can play with multiple quarterbacks, just like nothing's happened. So he's definitely a powerhouse. We'll see what happens.
Also, 11 for 112 yards. Yeah, we were pretty bad on the penalties.
Yes.
Yeah. See, I think what had happened was, I was over at Century Casino. I went over to Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge to go see our friends Matthew Awanek and Jay Milne of the Green and Gold Kickoff show over at Edmonton Sports Talk. So I swung over there, and I guess I didn't catch like everything that happened truly in the first half.
Yeah, there were quite a few.
Well, luckily though, Calgary went like 9 for 99 or something like that.
Yeah,
I
no,
just saw on
they
the
were
stat
just
sheet.
as bad. They were just as
Yeah.
bad. But I mean, and that's the bad, right? Penalties and stalled plays.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I have to say in terms of what is going bad with the team so far. We made the comment that it felt like we were going back to the first games of the season with all of those penalties. And same thing with the stalled plays. I mean, we see it with MBT. Now we're starting to see it with Trey Ford as well. You know, that what are you doing rushing on a first down and doing, a short play on the second down, not throwing it long, and then suddenly it's time to punt it away. It's like, why is that play calling? What is it?
Well,
Right?
and check downs, right? Like
Yeah,
so many check downs. Those
that
short
too.
plays that you're seeing are your check downs. So he's going to his backup of the backup option as far
Mhm.
as passing plays, and you're not seeing him. Well, and it could be defensive coverage too, but you're not seeing him make those really decisive plays. Let's take a look at what St. John's saying here. I liked what he said here. Got to keep. I'd love to keep Gino, but we've got to find ways to get him more involved. He's been clutch in massive situations, and he's breaking records while not getting the volume he has earned throughout his career. So that's something that we had talked
Mhm.
about multiple times on the show as well. Eugene Lewis, get the ball to Gino. You're paying Gino to be your WR1, your
Yeah,
wide receiver one. Treat him as such.
yeah.
Get him the ball. You know that with a Gino, it's, as they
Oh,
say, a 90-10 ball.
yes. It
With
doesn't.
Gino, it's a 90-10.
We've seen some crazy catches. Like I think at one point he had triple coverage and he still
Yeah,
managed to get
of
it.
course.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think at this point with this, he also knows that he deserves it. Right? So now, I mean, just like Sinjin said, we almost got Kenny Lawler killed here and with the targets he was getting, but he was getting the volume at the time, in my opinion. And the sad part is that somebody else is willing to pay for that,
Well,
right?
somebody's willing to pay for that now. Same time, that is on Chris Jones and then Jarius Jackson to
Mhm.
make sure that they get utilized as such. And they did surround. I liked what they did last year in surrounding Cornelius with folks such as Geno Lewis, replacing Kenny Lawler, get Geno Lewis in the fold. Uh, Geno Lewis has been a great community guy, XYZ, but
Mhm.
you pay him the big money to be the performer on game day.
Yeah.
And I don't think last year we saw enough utilization. This year,
Yeah.
we're starting to see that, which is great.
In the first half of the season, though, there were a lot of like, "Where's Gino? Why is Gino not being
Oh, this season?
utilized?" Where, yeah,
Easily.
this season,
Yeah.
right? There's a lot of questions of why is he not being utilized? Why is he not? We're paying him for a reason. Why is he not there? Getting some of those plays that
Yeah,
he should be, that we know he can.
totally.
So,
I like Mick Aussie here. What up, Mick Aussie? Friend of the our Creator Co-op. In the Creator Co-op for Shotgun Sports Network. It is a bad year again, but a beautiful thing to beat the ABCs 3-0. Bad week for the bye. To what level will some players have checked out, seeing no playoffs and this week off? And I wondered about that. Now, what's cool is how many players have stuck around in town and did, let's say, the flag football camp.
hmm.
Uh, Luchez, Coach Lou, they call him down there on the
Coach
trip.
Lou,
Coach Lou.
that's cute.
You got Luchez Purifoy, MBT. MBT has his family here right now.
Yeah,
Um,
I really don't think that the players have checked out. I think at some point they did. We saw it. Like
mhm.
maybe that was during the change from MBT to Trey Ford and then back or anything
Yeah,
like that. I think everybody was kind of wondering what's going on, what's going to happen next. We're not sure it felt like they weren't even sure. But I don't think they're checking out at this point. I think some of them look excited to just go into the end of the season, play the last game, and then move on to the next.
I think I'd
But
be more concerned if this was a 4-win season again. I think a lot more players would be checking out. I think because you do have a little bit of stat up there, you have contracts you're fighting for, you have positions you're fighting for. This team is not going to be dead last this year. The Edmonton Elks will not be dead last this year.
Improvement.
It's
one at a time. That's what I said. Let's let's just climb our way up the ranks.
Yeah.
I mean,
the season evened out in the weirdest way across all of the CFL, right? So
it was a weird season, especially
really
for the
weird
West.
season.
So it could have been a fluke. It could have been a one-off, but we're just gonna hope that was enough to kind of bring their confidence up a little bit and realize that they really are capable. Like you said, they have a 50-50 chance now of winning home games, which was an improvement from last year. So as long as they keep focusing on that and maybe, realize that they were really close, they could have had a chance and they should have just kept working, and then maybe they'll just push them for next year. We'll see. We'll see. We know that there's a lot of what ifs. There's a lot of things up in the air for the off season, and the off season is going to be something to watch for. But we'll see what happens. Anyways, transactions. On October 13th, 6 players were released from the practice roster. American defensive back Miles Brooks, American wide receiver Dante Demas Jr., national kicker Campbell Fair.
It's fair.
Was it fair, though? I don't know. American defensive lineman John McCartan and American defensive lineman Eric Miller were released. As for injuries, it is a bye week, so there's no record, there's no injury report out yet.
No injuries?
Well, we don't know.
We have no injuries?
We don't know. We do know that there were some injuries in the last game. Sean Oakman was he had a mild injury, I think, by the end of the game. So, but we really don't know. We don't know where they are. But keep an eye out on the website. They will let you know next week when they start training. We'll see what those injuries look like. Sinjin over here in the herd chat. It's not going to get better overnight. We had tremendous luck and management and player retention for 36 years.
Seriously, though. Seriously. Like, green and gold fans have had it good for so long. We never have to deal with this barren land of barely wins. That's we never have to deal with this. I will say now, especially after last year, I think last year was like just damaging. Last year was like the most damaging year. The losing streak.
Yeah.
The losing streak getting international coverage.
Yeah, that was rough.
There were people all over the world that knew about the Edmonton Elks and the futility.
I know.
That's it's crazy
when
to
it's
think.
Being covered in international news.
When I have people from Las Vegas going, "Hey,
I'm sorry.
Drunk check. Are you alive? Like, are you okay? How are you doing?" Because a lot of people in the sports realm know that I'm a season ticket holder, and you and I are season ticket holders, and we go down to every home game. You know, it's cool. Hey, the Section X jersey, the Elks Herd 75. Those have been in Commonwealth Stadium for every game in the 75th season. Was the 75th season a fantastic one, a good one? Not the best, but we got improvement. And this is the year that we had wanted last year. Yeah. This was this type of season. This is what we wanted last season.
Yeah.
Instead, we had the exact same record.
Year too late. We'll see.
What if, look at John here asking the tough questions. What if next year we're dead last? I'm not saying we might be, but it could happen. And
but yes, it could.
I mean, hey, it could happen. Anything could happen.
Yeah, you don't know. You really just hope that won't happen, that they'll just continue to improve.
Well, this team has a foundation. The foundation is set. And you thought you had a foundation last year with Taylor Corn and Kevin Brown. This year, you're walking out with the foundation of potentially Trey Ford or MBT. And you got Justin Rankin. And you have a Nick Anderson. And you have a Cordell Jackson. And we got too much good young talent. I love it.
I keep saying it's like all the building blocks are there.
They're
We have a
there.
really good core. We have a really good, maybe not necessarily a core. So you're building that core. That's where you want to get to. But there's a lot of really good building blocks. They have all the pieces. They just have to find a way to put them all together and make them work properly.
Well, and that's where Jarius Jackson might be
Mhm.
outsider looking in next season because
Mhm.
you need a good coach. You need a good football ops president. You need a good business
See,
ops
that's where
president.
you're aiming for that
You
core.
need
You need that
well, you
core
need
that
the business foundation, and then you need the foundation on the
yeah.
turf. And right now, I would say the foundation on the turf is very strong. Like
Mhm.
retain Shivers, retain a couple of the good coaches here. Obviously, Armando Sewell, if you can. Odell Willis is doing things.
Mhm.
It's cool to see. It's cool to see those pieces back.
Mhm.
Scout Wino Wall of Honor ceremony this year. We're gonna save that one for the fan forum, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. You said it. I already showed it.
Well, we'll bring it back. We'll bring that one back up, John, because
Okay.
we usually like to do the fan questions in the fan forum, which is right around the corner. But next game.
Yeah, it's a bye week, so no game this week.
Ba, ba, ba.
Next and last home game of the season will be Edmonton versus Toronto on Friday, October 25th at 7:30 p.m. Spooktacular night. So dress up.
Spooktacular.
Was spooktacular. Wait.
Oh, do we got a?
Oh, Jesus, sorry.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
we found a whole new set of reactions here. This is fantastic. 27-24, Elks win at home, Commonwealth Stadium against the Toronto Argonauts. Toronto Argonauts aren't going to be used to this chilly air. It's going to be a +2/-2 type of night. Fall football.
One.
It's usually most worth it when it's the playoffs.
Yeah.
I
I'm
hate
just showing
to.
up for the tailgate and I'm
There you
out.
go. Look at this. John, in the herd chat, as I'm saying it, it's supposed to be 2 degrees with snow. And I don't think the Oilers should be playing on our last home game, but they are. Rogers. Hey,
Listen, they're not doing the greatest, so maybe people want to actually see a win. Now I'm just salty. I'm salty with that one.
that's wild out here saying that.
Oh, when the Elks are gonna get a win, that's what people want to see. Hey, now I'm speaking it into existence to the universe.
I like it.
And
It's
watch.
it's also the last game of the 75th season.
Mhm.
And I think I like it personally. I would love to see a nice 25K. I think we're only going to see 18 to 20.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
John
it's
was
gonna be
asking about the
it's gonna be
attendance.
cold. I mean, Friday. We haven't had a lot of Friday night games
No.
either, so.
But Catherine, it's the Oilers Hall of Fame game.
Hopefully that will put some fire under their skates.
Let's go
Really.
Oilers.
Let's go.
St. John Sperling here in the herd chat. Bynum and Kai got to say, yeah, Devondrick Bynum.
Yes.
Got to keep him. Kai Gray.
100.
Kai Gray, he was great last year. He really he did step it up this year. He's been fantastic since he's joined the team, and he's only been improving. He's also going to demand the big money. I think you pay him at that point. I think the Edmonton Elks, instead of letting players slip away, I think it would be nice to see more multi-year contracts.
What happened to AC Leonard?
He's on the team right now.
Why is he not? Is he playing?
Yes.
Did he play in the last game?
I believe so.
Huh. I don't think I.
Well, he's defensive line as well.
Yeah.
So you might not
Interesting.
notice him too
I should have
much.
paid more attention to
You
that.
should have paid more attention. John here in the herd chat. I don't know if the tailgate is going to be popping this upcoming game. What's popping? Oh, it's going to be the tailgate. How about what's popping? Herdies. Why don't we get right to the Edmonton sports update? Today's Edmonton sports update is brought to you by Herdies. Sometimes you fake it till you make it, but other times you risk it for the brisket. And Herdies doesn't fake none. Get your mouth ready for our smokehouse brisket rubbed by our two hands. with only the finest herbs and spices, then smoked for many hours so the juices drip. You'll
It's
need
gonna
a
be
mop.
one of his hands and one of my hands.
You'll need a mop to clean the floor. Visit stall number 182 to get some of that delicious smoked brisket fun in a bun 3 hours before Elks versus Argonauts kickoff. Come say goodbye to Smodie's Herkos. Herdy's Smokehouse.
Smokey's hurt.
That was wild. But come say goodbye to Herdy's Smokehouse because Herdy's Smokehouse will be shutting down
Yeah.
after this season. Come say bye to Herdy's. We smoke the meats. Your Edmonton Elks are currently 6-11 on the bye week after a season-sweeping win against the Calgary Stampeders. The Elks take on the Toronto Argonauts at Commonwealth Stadium at 7:30 p.m. Mountain on Friday night. Next Friday night. The U of A Golden Bears last lost to the UBC Thunderbirds for last Friday, posting a 25-35 score at Foot Field. They will host the Manitoba Bison on Saturday at Foot with many stakes on the line. Kickoff is at 1 p.m. Mountain. The 1-3 Edmonton Oilers head to Nashville for a 6 p.m. date with the Preds on Thursday, followed by a 2 p.m. matinee against the Dallas Stars on Saturday. Your 3-3-0-1 Edmonton Oil Kings host the Saskatoon Blades at Rogers Place for a 7 p.m. puck drop, followed by a trip to Red Deer to face the Rebels on Sunday. Puck drop is at 4 p.m. Mountain on Sunday. Love Pro Wrestling 31 is right around the corner with the Clandestine Wrestling Society event happening the day before. Be sure to check out Clandestine Wrestling Society and Love Pro Wrestling at Rec Room South on October 24th and 25th, respectively. Catch the rep from Section X as the guest announcer on the 24th at the Clandestine Wrestling Society event. And in BCHL action, the 6-3 Sherwood Park Crusaders continue their campaign on Friday night in Blackfalds against the Bulldogs before defending Randy Rosenrink against the Penticton Bees on Saturday. Both games are at 7 p.m. Mountain. And the Sherwood Park Crusaders are always looking for game day volunteers. Contact Len Nunes or Derek Yeomans at the Sherwood Park Crusaders to join the crew, or visit their website directly at spcrusaders.com. And for more on the Edmonton sports scene, check out our sports articles on shotgunsportsnetwork.ca and our other great shows on the network on our YouTube, which is Shotgun Sports Network. Where the Elks heard, you're up to date.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time I got to make sure I looped that that music. I didn't realize I didn't loop it. Doesn't happen that way very often.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Quick commercial break here for our affiliates. We got to thank our viewers, our fellow fans, for supporting us by shopping our affiliated links in the description below. Shotgun Sports Network salute you. If you want some discounts, check out these great vendors, businesses. First off, RoyalRetros.com. They're the throwback kings. You want anything throwback CFL, US expansion, Football Canada, CFLPA. It's all over at RoyalRetros.com. Oh, if you want 10% off, use code Shotgun Sports, all caps, no spaces, upon checkout. Treat yourself. Christmas is around the corner. Get those Christmas presents done early. Be like me. Shop 2 to 3 months early for these Christmas presents, and don't do it all at once.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do it in batches. You're like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna buy a couple things here. You know, like, oh, you know, I'll buy Catherine one wheel of the car, and then maybe I'll buy another wheel, and then maybe I'll buy an engine, and then, you know, after like 30 Christmases, I might build you a car. No, it doesn't work that way.
No.
Okay. Next stop is going to be Fanatics. Everybody knows Fanatics. There's always a deal over at Fanatics. So hit the link and shop online with Shotgun Sports Network and Fanatics. And then finally, Lather, Lather, Lather without the E. Go check them out. Canadian handmade soaps. They just moved into a warehouse. They're getting bigger. Started in a garage. Started from the garage, and here they are.
Mm-hmm.
They're here on the Elks Call. Not specifically them here right now, but the brand leather is on the Elks Call. 20% off. It's code
And it is
Shotgun Sports
on
20.
him as well.
Smell damn good. I still smell good. I did actually, yes. Sandalwood bourbon this morning. That's the scent. If you want 20% off, once again, it's code Shotgun Sports 20, all caps, no spaces, over at lather.com. Smell damn good. Smell damn good. Sorry, Mom, for swearing. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Fan forum.
Yeah.
Time to open it up.
Do you
So
want to start with some of the questions that we have in
I
the
think we
fan forum
should
first, and
let's
then
open up this fan forum. In this segment, we're going to talk about hot topics surrounding the Edmonton Elks and the CFL as a whole.
yes,
Blow up the herd chat so we can get your comments onto the show, much like you already are. Today's fan forum is brought to you by the Rouge, White, and Blue podcast. Americans talking Canadian football. Oz and Joe can now be seen on Shotgun Sports Network, bringing their audibles to your screens. Everyone's favorite point, white and blue.
yeah.
All right.
Um,
Is this your last tailgate ever? I'm confused. I like that.
Oh, from John. No, he just says that Hurdy's is done in terms of the smoke meats. We're gonna have a completely different menu next year. That's what that means.
So the Elks Call episode. I don't see the episode number over here.
30, season 2, episode 30.
Season 2, episode 30, exclusive. Hurdy's Diner coming soon. So we've figured out that we are going to be doing a different style of food every year out of the tailgate.
Mhm.
Because the smokehouse, we did the smokehouse last year. It was fun. We brought it back again this year because who says no to smoked meats besides Catherine? And and I saw that vegan and vegetarian, nice. But anyways, so we're doing a different style of meats and different style of foods every year. Next year is going to be diner.
Mhm.
So we're going to be giving you diner foods. We did up some mean poutines recently, which kind of also helped inspire that. So we're going to be serving poutines, sliders, all the good stuff out of
Mhm.
the Elks tailgate. So it's gonna be good.
Mhm.
It's gonna be good, but no more traditional smoked meats. Be fun in a bun. We're still gonna be doing fun in a bun as long as it's diner style.
Yeah. The other gonna use that hibachi grill in the telly next year. Maybe next year will be Asian cuisine.
The year
We'll
after,
see.
yeah,
The
after
year after.
next
It's
year.
next year. I did want to bring this comment by Sinjin that he said that it would be nice to be able to sign guys to a 3 to 4 year if they plan on staying in the CFL for the longer term. I agree, especially with some of the talent that we have. You definitely want to retain them for longer than the 1 year contracts that we keep seeing.
Well, and the other problem too is obviously a lot of these players want to hop, skip, and jump over to the NFL, but now with the UFL being there and still technically being a viable option, even though you don't get paid as much, it's still a viable option. So therefore, they could sign a 1 or 2 year. Or the other thing too is you have these players that are betting on themselves. So you go have yourself a contract year. Well, now you're not strapped to your $100,000 contract. Now you can go sign a $200,000 contract. The unfortunate part is once you get into that game with an organization, and if you haven't been there long enough, or if you haven't become a cornerstone of an organization pretty quick, of a foundation, even a cornerstone of a foundation, I should say. If you haven't slotted yourselves in, let's say like a Gino, if you haven't gotten to that point real quick with an organization, chances are that extension that they're going to look the other way and they're going to look for somebody that can do close enough for literally half the money. And that's the danger of betting on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it also builds a little bit more culture too. When you have a revolving door,
Yes.
you don't, even if you find chemistry with a player, what's to say that that really means anything when that player's not going to be there next year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When you know that they're staying and sticking around for longer than a year, then you really truly start building those relationships and that chemistry between players that you know that is going to stick and they can rely on that instead of just, like I said, it kind of being like a revolving door of players coming in and out and you don't really know you. It's like you have to learn how to play with somebody else all over again.
Yeah.
Right. So
Well, take a look
it'd be nice.
at what's happening in Winnipeg. Winnipeg has had a relatively similar core for 5 years.
Mhm.
Winnipeg has kept Willie Jefferson. They've lost Kenny Lawler and had him return.
Mhm.
They've lost Sergio and had him return. You know, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have found a way to keep their core, and they've
Mhm.
done a really good job of it, but now that core is getting old.
Yeah.
So, yes, it would be nice. Like right now, I think the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are really the envy of the league. They're selling out all the time. The players are
Mhm.
staying.
Mhm.
They have a healthy organization. They're still community owned, but they're doing it right. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are doing it right, and that's great.
Yeah.
Now we have funding behind the double E. Now we have some changes, some fan changes that people want that are going to happen. You see
Mhm.
the return of the great game day atmosphere. You know, it's somebody even recently went there like, yeah, I haven't been to a game in a long time. Is that ever depressing? Looking up at the empty upper bowl, like, man, he's like, back when they were the Eskimos, everybody says it. Back when they were the Eskimos, yeah, I mean, the upper bowl
Mhm.
was filled. So how do you get back to that point? How do you get to where the
Mhm.
Winnipeg Blue Bombers are? Well, you build a great nucleus. You build around that. You have guys learn off of each other and switch in and switch out. You know, you're faced with the reality of losing players.
Mhm.
You're still gonna lose players.
Yeah.
No matter what you will lose players. But as long as you maintain that
Yeah. Yeah.
brotherhood
They
bone.
could.
They're saying bone now, by the way. Again,
Nice. Well,
they're saying bone down there.
culture. That's sometimes one person. That's all it takes to bring a little bit of that culture back. But like Chris here in the
Winnipeg has
chat.
kept their coaching staff and upper management whole for the most part. Everyone's team in sport,
Mhm.
everyone team in sport can learn from it. Yes, I mean that's it. They've maintained that nucleus. They've
Mhm.
maintained that. They brought guys up. They've
Mhm.
done it all. Like it's one of the most healthy organizations out there right now for the CFL.
Yeah.
BC Lions are on the rise. They're getting better year over year. Now with Nathan Rourke, they're probably going to be doing a lot better.
Mhm.
So they're on the healthy end of things. Hamilton looking like they're taking a hit. Toronto Argonauts, well, they were doing good
Mhm.
until Chad Kelly
Yeah, they're
went
just
ahead and sexually harassed
inconsistent.
somebody or whatever.
Oh, they're just inconsistent, but yeah.
Montreal, they're healthy right now. They're getting
Mhm.
sellouts at McGill at Percival
Mhm.
Molson.
Yeah.
So there's the league isn't. I think where you're seeing the unhealthy stuff is the Saskatchewans, the Edmontons, the Calgarys. For once, like the West is taking the hit. Winnipeg is the envy of the West and probably the envy of the league.
Mhm.
They've built it right. Now, what will they look like in 5 to 10 years? We don't know yet, but
Yeah.
it's hard to repeat what Winnipeg has done right
Of
now.
course. Just like St. John says, if they have franchise players that they have been able to maintain too. Winnipeg is a very well managed organization. So
Beautiful.
like Chris said, everybody could learn a little bit from that and hopefully, get some pointers as to what happens when you want to retain some talent.
Yeah.
But Chris Ager here, he also mentioned if the league and the teams would market their talent even a little bit more, many players would likely stay here for longer term deals. Sad how it isn't done more.
So let's go right into the second question here in the fan forum because that directly correlates to what Chris talks about.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
So the CFL has recently announced that they brought on CFL creators to help their brand off the field. I believe it's called the CFL Creator Network, is what they're calling this. Many great creators such as Coach Phil and CFL Reddit have been signed to the Creator Network in what's being called a pilot project. Do you think this will be successful, and should teams be doing the same? So to give some explanation here, what the CFL has done is they are allowing these creators to access all of this exclusive content, exclusive shots, exclusive videos, just exclusive content that then they can rework. Now, what does this sound like to me? Hmm. This sounds like when Victor Cui back in 2022, back in 2022, when he came into the Double E,
Mm-hmm.
he had created an influencer program, and there was an app called Greenfly, and we could access exclusive content
Yeah.
as the Elks Herd.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
So,
just trying to like, what's the point of it? I mean, I'm just trying to bring it together with what we were talking about that Chris was talking
so
about.
if the leagues and
But,
teams would market their talent a little more,
but
so
that's
this is an effort to market.
but is it an effort to market the CFL, or is it an effort to market players and the teams themselves?
Well, Chris's question is if the league and teams.
Yeah,
So
but
this is
so
included in
that's what I'm
both.
asking. What is the purpose of this network
Well,
creator thing?
to help these creators to
Hmm.
amplify those creators.
So just
So it's a
have more.
non-traditional marketing style. So they're actually addressing Chris's question for
Hmm.
once.
No,
The league has
definitely.
actually done something for
Definitely,
once.
and we have talked about it plenty of times before that there's not enough coverage.
Yeah,
There's not enough marketing out there for the CFL. So whatever efforts that they're bringing in to bring a lot more visibility into
yeah,
the CFL, that is obviously a plus,
yeah,
right? And if that is going to help getting a lot more visibility into some of these players and what they do, then 100% that's going to help them to want to stay in the league a little bit longer for sure, and maybe look for other opportunities within the league too as well, right? So
Now here's where I'll play devil's advocate. Coach Phil is already grabbing his CFL content.
mhm.
Some of these creators are already grabbing their content on their own. How much more can you give them now? Will it be successful? I love the idea of them opening it up. I think teams should be doing that.
Mhm.
With what Victor was doing, it was great, but it was very underutilized. So unfortunately, like let's say for us, it was really cool that we had all these exclusive shots, and we would like do up
Mhm.
memes, and we would do up whatever with it, right?
Mhm.
Um, it was really cool to see it kind of spread out like that, and it wasn't just from the Edmonton Elks all the time, from the mothership. But it was also something that went underutilized. I think by the end of the year, it was like the Elks Herd were the
Oh yeah,
only
no, it
people
didn't really
posting
go anywhere. I mean, it requires a lot of effort to even maintain something like that, especially when content is being distributed amongst multiple
channels.
channels
Yeah,
and all of that. So it's yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting concept. I think that they're trying to bring more awareness to the league and what that could mean for teams. I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea. I just very cautious and I'm hesitant to believe that it really is going to go anywhere.
and I think I agree with that. I would like to see them, and my belief is that if this is successful, then it will go down to the teams.
Hmm.
So it'll be something where they're like, okay, look, this is something we've done at a league level. We're
Hmm.
gonna Here's the package,
And I
and
think
we're gonna
that
give you the package.
And I think that matters too. And I think the Elks have done a really good job lately with a lot of their shots and bringing in some other content creators as well, photographers that have a following. I know that they had a whole bunch of influencers just kind of coming around and walking around at the tailgate and the
Taking
games and taking
pictures and
pictures and
yeah.
posting, and people that have their own following as well, so that it spreads the word. So the type of content that the Elks are putting out right now, a lot of the reels that they're doing, the player content that you see,
Hmm.
that's super entertaining. Like the interviews that they do on the field. The try this. Have you ever tried a
Yep.
Tim Hortons, donut? So that's all. I really truly think that some of the additions that the Elks have done on the marketing side are working. But the thing about marketing, and this I know from personal experience, is that is a very slow process.
Hmm.
Things and efforts that you do this year, you might not actually see the results from it until next year, right? So I think the Elks are doing things to increase that visibility, to bring in other content creators that have their own following to even make it a lot bigger. And the CFL is trying to do this on a league level, and that's
Mm-hmm.
even harder,
Yeah.
right? So it's interesting. I think it's a very interesting concept. I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. It's going to be hard.
Yeah, and I really do wonder how it will help the creators because I already know that CFL Reddit. I mean, CFL Reddit, great stuff. CFL Reddit also already grabs all of that content, has people posting in there. That's a
Mhm.
community. That's a community.
Mhm.
Coach Phil, he grabs all of his footage from the CFL recaps and
Mhm.
replays, and he reacts off of that. How
Mhm.
much more exclusive can you get with that, right? It's like,
Yeah.
how much more can you add onto that? Me, as somebody that does create content, the only way it really gets better for us is if we get hand fed pictures from the Edmonton Elks. Let's be real.
Mhm.
If we get that influencer program back again,
Right.
and
Yeah.
if we're able to pick and choose and grab our photos, make memes of them, make
Yeah.
content out of it, right? That would be the way that we make content. Sinjin here in the herd chat, we have Sean Oakman, who is a full meme and household name for Baylor. And the majority of football fans don't even know he's still playing. So that's,
Mhm.
remember I showed you the picture. I'm like, look
Yeah.
at this guy. You're like,
Yeah.
who is that scary man? I'm like, oh, that's Sean Oakman. That's our D line.
I did not say that. Yes, I did.
You did. He looks scary. He's a big scary guy. He could be a sweetheart in real life, but he's really good on the D line, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's another, and I really don't know if that comes with wins as well. But I mean, I always hate to compare it to the Edmonton Oilers, but we have the likes of the McDavids and the Dreisaitl's that they're a name for themselves, right? Everybody knows who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can tell you who McDavid is, but at the same time, that's a record that not a lot of people can touch,
Yeah.
right? But in which way can we bring awareness like that down to the player level? I mean, even the Elks are starting to do that with a lot of these camps. A lot of these kids that we see running around that they know who Gino Lewis is now because he's the one coaching them. He's
Yeah.
the one doing a lot of these things off the field for these kids, the grassroots movement. But on a bigger scale, like how do you bring awareness down to a player level to highlight that player so that more people know who they are, so that Edmontonians can take a look. I mean, right now, maybe Trey Ford is one of those just because of how crazy his introduction to the CFL has been. And you do see some younger people walking around with Trey Ford painted on their chest, right? So there's a little bit of that, but the Gino Lewises, the Kevin Browns,
Yeah.
even the MVTs. What does it take for the city as a whole? Let's start there to really recognize them for their talent.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and then there should be more highlighting now. To kind of combat that. And to combat John's comment here in the herd chat, I don't see billboards around the city for the Elks. I see them for the Oilers, Oil Kings, and sometimes Edmonton Stingers and Riverhawks. Well, I frequent Rogers Place, and I can tell you that I see an Edmonton Elks billboard on the side of
Mhm.
Rogers Place
Yeah, I have seen them.
fairly often.
I have
So,
seen them.
we are seeing that advertising throughout
Mhm.
town. I have seen also driving to downtown as well.
Mhm.
I have seen ads for game day, and then of course over at the stadium as well. You
Mhm.
have all your billboards there. So there are billboards that go up. Now I will say the billboard presence has gone down over the years, but when you have a losing, failing product,
I
are
mean,
you going to spend money on the
yeah,
advertising,
you have to
right?
allocate your spend properly, and
Yeah.
billboards are probably not the best way to spend your money
Well,
when you don't
no,
have
when you're losing
it.
money year over year,
Exactly.
right? We also have here. Honestly, the UFL doesn't do a much better job of highlighting big name players.
From college.
I want to say that does do a much better job of highlighting big name players from college who are in their league, former NFLers, and more. CFL does not market itself nationally, let alone internationally, and has not done much to invest in
Mhm.
internet marketing. And I like those comments.
Mhm.
Really, What CFL ads have you seen this season?
No, no.
No. You've seen one, but the only ad they're running right now is the what is it? Keep it unreal ads. The black and white. Oh, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Where the Elks use that and the black and
Yes.
white for Larry and him driving through the Stamp sideline.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. What do you do, right? What do you do? What does the CFL do that is league wide? Teams, I think they're once again, I applaud what the Elks are doing right now. They're working on it. There's been so many improvements in the way that they're approaching their marketing. Um, but I'm not gonna lie, like I have spent hours of scrolling, doom scrolling, and suddenly I'm stuck in this loop of watching the Colts mascot for hours on end and reels. And I'm like, this is great. I want to watch the NFL, and now I'm gonna be a Colts fan just because of their mascot. Not gonna
But
not gonna
even
happen. But things
you
like
could be
that.
doing that with punter. You could be doing that with
Yeah,
punter and Spike
100%.
or
For
Nanook if he
sure.
ever makes a return, because no Nanook's hiding somewhere. But
Mhm.
you could do stuff like this. You could easily and off-season content as well.
NFL is massive for their content.
Yeah,
But again, now is that down to a team level or is it the league
it's both.
level?
It's both. The NFL will always do whatever they can to amplify it. Now, the
Mhm.
NFL is obviously just a bigger product.
Yeah.
We get that. But the teams themselves are responsible for marketing their own product. Your
Mhm.
team, your island. The Edmonton Elks have the best content crew right now.
Yeah,
They
they're
have the best
fantastic. They're really good.
Brent, Richie, and the
They're
gang.
so good.
I know they have a couple other photographers. So I mean, the Edmonton Elks have the best. I would say the best content crew
Mhm.
out of anybody in the CFL. These guys are doing their job for sure. We're the only pro league with traditional kickoffs for the meantime, which does sound like it may be changing next year.
Oh no. I was like, market that.
Market that. Yeah, exactly. Our kicks are
That
real.
is
Instead of our balls are bigger, our kicks are real.
kicks
Our kicks are real.
our balls sometimes don't have chips, depending on the preference of the player.
Yeah, I guess. And I also did see that Shabazz Dillon, friend of the herd,
Yes.
he is actually the reason why Bone has returned. Thank you to the mofo Shabazz for a good part of the return of Bone.
Mhm.
So that's great because I
Yes.
think that we have said that we need Bone back for way too many years. I even said it to Victor Quee once. I was like,
Mhm.
Victor, man,
Mhm.
you guys need Dwayne Mandrusiak. You guys need Bone. Bone has been
Yes.
gone for too long. Brotherhood of Nasty Eskimo. Well, Brotherhood of Nasty Elks. See, you get
Same thing.
caught up with it sometimes. But that's a Bone and Brotherhood of Nasty Elks. It works. And then
Mhm.
you can't say Brotherhood of Nasty Edmontonians. That doesn't work. That
Oh,
doesn't
there are
work.
a lot of nasty Edmontonians over there out there.
All right. So for our last herd chat question here, let's go with. All right, controversial. We're gonna talk Trey Ford again.
Again,
Again.
we talk for
Well,
every day, every week.
every week it's Ford Watch. We're on Ford
Yes,
Watch
for
already.
what?
This is breaking news. Okay, so the Edmonton Elks have decided to roll with Trey Ford for the last two games of the season.
Mm.
The latest being a win against the Stampeders. Next one is against the Toronto Argonauts. The Double E has mismanaged the quarterback room for a critical part of the season, but poor performance hasn't helped the quarterbacks either. If you are a decision maker for the Double E, and if you are making the decisions on the Elks 2025 roster, let's say you have the power to sign Trey Ford. Did Trey Ford do enough to earn more money on a contract offer with this last win?
No, I personally don't think so. I don't, and I've said it before. I have absolutely nothing against Trey Ford. I think he's got amazing talent and a very promising career. But objectively, we haven't seen enough of him. He's been
Damn.
injured so much. We haven't seen him as a starter position for more than a few games in the whole season. How can you base that decision on what you have seen from Trey Ford right now?
Okay, so riddle me this then. Trey Ford beats the Toronto Argonauts here at home.
Mm-hmm.
Trey Ford wins.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big game. Beat Chad Kelly. Move Toronto, potentially shut Toronto out of a home playoff game too, depending on what happens this weekend. But let's say Trey Ford wins next weekend against Toronto, and let's say it's a blowout win. Does
Mm-hmm.
that move the needle for you?
I definitely think that the Elks should aim for signing him as a starter. Whether we're able to afford what he wants is a different story. Does he deserve what he may think that he wants? That's another story.
And the panel,
Yeah, I was watching the panel and I brought it up and I was like, the panel themselves, they're talking about this and they're saying that Trey Ford is not, he's not worth more than 300, right? For the exact same reasons that we just don't know. There is a risk with Trey Ford. And you either risk losing an amazing player that could bring glory to the Elks, or you risk paying a player too much and not performing. You don't know. Like what kind of risk do you take as the Elks?
See, and like my only problem is if Hamilton drops down that 500K contract.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's, I believe there will be a slight bidding war.
I
If the Edmonton Elks
yeah.
don't, and I would say the Edmonton Elks are going to have to pay at least 400K.
Yeah.
They're paying at least 400K, and if Hamilton comes in with a 500K, now we have to outbid. Now, in conjunction with what St. John is saying here, I think the majority of fans will not be renewing seats if
Mhm.
Trey isn't the option next year, whether he's earned it or
That's
not.
another thing too, right? I mean, as now we're talking business. Now we're talking business decisions that may not necessarily fall down to what you see on paper or what has happened on the field. Now, what is good for the team?
Yeah.
What is good for the team? Is Trey Ford good for the team? Is he good for the franchise? He's good for the franchise, 100%.
Good for marketing.
He is fantastic for marketing. People love Trey Ford. People will come see him play. We have younger generations of, kids coming in with, like I said, their chests painted with Trey Ford on them.
Mm-hmm.
Trey Ford is good for the Elks. Is Ford good for the Elks in the locker room? You don't know that.
We don't know that. I mean, I don't think he's a cancer in the room.
No, I don't think so. But we don't know that. There's
We
a
also
lot
don't
of
know that.
there's a lot of things that we don't know. We don't know how much money he's going to be asking for. We don't know if it's even feasible thing for the Elks to maintain him at that point.
No,
We don't know.
But the fans have been begging for him, win or lose,
Mhm.
since we obtained him. That's what St. John said there. John, I also did see your question in there. We will get to that in a moment. Also, Vernon Adams may be available this offseason as well, so who knows what will end up happening. If we lose Trey, who do we go for? I can tell you that Calgary's going to be getting into a bidding war with anybody that goes for VA. Calgary, from what I have heard, Calgary's already targeting big play VA. So,
Benny over here.
oh, Ray and Benny, what up? What is up? Ray and Benny, yes, Trey Ford handled right can change the fortunes of the franchise. Ray and Benny coming in hot.
That's just it. It's once again, it's a risk. You're always going to find a risk with Trey Ford right now.
Yeah.
You're either risking that he is not going to be the player that you expect him to be because you don't have enough on him. He's been injured. He hasn't been starting. He hasn't started in enough games for you to really get a feel of what kind of player he is and whether he deserves a starting spot. The reality is that he will get a starter position. He will. Whether it is with the Elks or somewhere else, he will.
Oh, yes.
And
he'll have a
now it's a matter of, once again, what risk are the Elks willing to take? Do you hope that you pay him enough that he decides to stay and there is a chance that he won't perform the best? Or do you let him walk and go for somebody else?
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, that's going to be the $1 million question. If VA takes the Lions to the Cup, Rourke should be the one getting cut or traded. Yeah, and See, wouldn't that be crazy?
That'd be crazy. That
Wouldn't
would be
that be crazy? I would
crazy.
love to see that.
That'd be drama in the CFL.
But what about BC Lions? You know what? You think it's bad being a Double E fan right now.
Yeah.
I can tell you this. Imagine if the Grey Cup was in our city this year.
Yeah.
Imagine if the Grey Cup was in Edmonton. Imagine how choked you would be with this result. I have been here when we missed the playoffs. And
do you think people would bet higher for Rourke or Trey Ford?
bid higher?
Yeah.
Oh,
Or-
Rourke. Rourke every day of the week.
Yeah, they would still get him. Like even if he gets traded or say let go of the BC Lions.
Well,
you're
he's
saying
got a
that there's gonna be-
$600,000 contract right now.
Yeah, for another how many years? 1
It's
year?
like 3 or 4.
3 years?
Yeah,
Okay. Oh well, he's there
he's in
for
it
a
for the
little.
long haul. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to say it's 3 years, including this year. That's
Mhm.
I believe I could be wrong. Spend some money on the O line, please. Yes, St. John.
Yes.
Now the O line wasn't too bad this year. They have been worse in years past, but there's still a lot left to be desired. We saw the pressure. The pressure on the quarterback was still pretty crazy high this year. The O line also did make honor roll a couple of times as well, so it was very hit and miss.
Mhm.
They could use a couple more pieces.
Mhm.
David Faku, he did an alright job this year. It's not over yet, but we're gonna do a season recap. Let's
Mhm.
try and get Nathan Rourke. Larry can afford him. Nice. I
If we don't-
like
if we
John
don't get
here.
Trey Ford, let's just go for Rourke.
I don't think Rourke signs here. I don't think Rourke wants to come to Edmonton. I don't think.
I don't know.
But how amazing.
That'd be cool.
Too bad we gave away our first overall pick, which could have gotten Curtis Rourke. But instead, we ended up getting Mathis, which, hey, Mathis is finally making plays now. But Mathis is no Curtis Rourke. We could have had a
Yeah.
generational quarterback. But now, once again, here's the problem. You need a veteran to bring up the quarterback. You're going through that whole process all
Well,
over
and
again.
that's just it. That's another thing, right? If Trey Ford is signed as a starter here in Edmonton, he is the veteran. Like at that point,
Yeah.
he's the one.
Yeah.
He would have no MBT anymore
But-
because
but-
there's no way that the team can afford both again next year.
But rightfully so, right? Because we've developed him to this point. He should be a starter already. Look at Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers starter for 3 years while Jordan Love was sitting there riding pine.
I know, but that was 3 years.
But that was too long still. That was still too long. Everybody was waiting for something to give, in which it finally was. Aaron Rodgers went to New York.
Yeah, that was kind of like a forced situation.
Kind of,
that
yeah.
Team. Love has to at this point because Aaron Rodgers decided to do his diva thing and go somewhere else. So
I still got love for Aaron Rodgers, okay?
But I mean, it's weird. It's a weird situation that we have right now. That's why I keep saying that the off season is going to be wild.
It's going to be wild, and I
Mhm.
really hope the organization does the right things. I think Larry's smart enough to know that Trey Ford is most likely the future of this team. Go get yourself a reliable backup as well.
Mhm.
Go get yourself an old trusty like a Kevin Glenn type. Get yourself somebody that can slang the ball in the pocket. Try to develop Daggy too.
Yeah.
Like I like Jared Daggy. I think Daggy has a lot of promise. Poor guy is right now playing QB3 behind. Well, he's playing QB4. Daggy's playing
Yeah,
QB4.
Cop is definitely has had a lot more opportunities.
Well, and we're most likely gonna see Daggy over in. We're gonna see Daggy maybe for a quarter in that Toronto game
Maybe
because they do
Yeah.
want to see Daggy do something before
Well, that's fair.
the season's over. Well, they got to figure out if they're gonna keep him.
Well, let's
We got. I
bring
did
the
see.
one
Why no fall?
question.
Why no fall of Wayne? I am all over the place on my letters today.
Follow Wayne.
Yeah. Why no Wall
I-
of Fame this
I'm
year?
the one with dyslexia around here. It's contagious.
It's been a long day. I'm tired. I took a nap right before this episode, so I'm all over the place. Okay, so why no Wall of Fame this year? I would say that that's because of the 75th. With the 75th, it being such a big celebration, they're celebrating teams, whole decades worth of teams, every home game.
Mhm.
So the whole purpose of that is to obviously highlight those teams. And I believe they've also had members of those teams in the building as well. The other reason too is, I mean, they had the biggest alumni signing ever at the beginning of the season on for the
Mhm.
75th home opener. So they've done a lot of activations this season. Less alumni signings. I did not see any alumni signings outside of that big one.
No. Well, that was a really big one. So
It was
that that makes the whole year. That's your whole year.
everything all at once. Boom,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think that's the reason why. There's all the activations that were done and the big alumni signing and just everything that is happening on the 75th. I
Hmm.
think I agree that that's probably the reason why they didn't have it. Mhm.
No, that's fair. Um, Alrighty, what else do we have here?
Mhm.
Yeah, St. John saying here you can't throw them in too early or mess around with benching and starting constantly. It's a rough thing to come back from on a confidence level, even when you're strong willed. Obviously, we saw that happen with the Edmonton Elks this season.
Mhm.
So we've seen that with that MBT pulling, throwing in Trey Ford, kind of messing both of them up, right?
Yeah.
That big mess of an autograph signing at the home opener, and they did have some autograph signing in the quarterbacks club
Oh,
near section W. Okay, so that's cool. So
there you go.
I didn't really know about the autograph signings in the quarterback club, but obviously the big one at the beginning of the season. That was
Mhm.
a blast. It was a big mess.
It was a big
I
mess.
mean, I don't understand the whole 30 minutes and then switch thing.
I think they heavily underestimated how busy that was going to get.
Yeah.
They very, very much underestimated how that was going to
Oh,
work.
and then you got
So,
Hugh Campbell walking along,
eh,
signing autographs and stuff. It was
yeah,
just, it was wild. It was
yeah,
wild. So,
still cool though.
um,
But yeah, I think
that's just about it.
that's
There
about
is
it.
a rumor out there. We heard, I want to say through EST or somebody else, but Warren Moon's name is
Oh,
going around.
right, that'd be wild.
Yeah.
I really truly didn't think that Warren Moon would be a name that is being thrown around because I didn't assume that he would want to come to Edmonton.
Oh, apparently autograph signings are every game in the quarterback club. So, unfortunately, we're just never there. So I
No.
guess we did not know about it. I'm also used to seeing them up on the north end of the concourse,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
the signings, right? So we would usually walk by. There's a big
Yeah.
old
Yeah.
lineup and everything. It's very
Yeah.
visible. Hiding it away in the quarterback club, I'm not the biggest fan. So
Mhm.
little bit disappointing. But yeah, getting back to that Warren Moon, there is some talk that he is interested in coming back to the city of Edmonton and very interested in being a member of the organization. So that would be cool to see Warren Moon, let's say, return to the double E in the off season. Don't know how that's going to work. I assume that he's living a good life in California or Seattle or wherever he may be now. I don't have the particulars on that. But how cool would that be to see him here in Edmonton once again?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
So I think, and Daryl, obviously it worked for Daryl Cates. So why wouldn't it work for Larry Thompson?
Mhm.
Um, Alrighty. I think that is it for today's episode. Let's close the fan forum. Let's close
Mhm.
it. That was fun. Thank you so much, everybody, for getting in on the fan forum today. That was a fun one. Always good to see the friends of the herd, including Chris Agar, John, Sinjin. Saw a couple people in here today. Zach Zilla apparently was in here looking for the cat. The cat
Mhm.
is looking like she's going to tear down the set here in a moment. So uh, we'll shut down the show. That's all the time we have for tonight. I would like to thank you, the viewer, for tuning into the show, whether you're watching on YouTube, which would be Shotgun Sports Network, or Facebook, which would be the Elks Herd, or if you're listening on TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Edmonton Sports Talk, or on your favorite podcatcher. We salute you. Once again, my name is Scout, aka the Rev from Section X.
And I'm Catherine, aka Do You Even Else?
We are the Elks Herd. This was the Elks Call, and we'll see you all in the next episode. Hopefully, after a season-ending win against Toronto, because we are on our bye week next week.
Yes.
All right. Have an awesome night. Cheers, everybody.
Have a good night.
Go Elks.